If you haven't already, please take a second to subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to click on the notification bell so you'll be up to date on all videos released from the Everything Network.
The modern American mafia no longer has to look like the old street empire of corner social clubs, trucking yards, and bookmaking slips passed by hand. In the 21st century, organized crime can sit beside legal sports betting apps, underground poker rooms, encrypted phones, cash couriers, shell companies, online sportsbooks, and famous names used as bait. The case that placed the NBA beside La Cosa Nostra did not begin as a single story. It came forward as two connected federal lanes, one involving alleged sports betting fraud through non-public NBA information, and another involving rigged high-stakes poker games backed by organized crime families. The public saw the names first: Terry Rozier, Damon Jones, Chauncey Billups, and a long roster of alleged operators, bettors, game organizers, technology suppliers, money movers, and mafia-linked figures. To understand this case properly, the first thing to teach is the difference between legal gambling and corrupted gambling. Legal sports betting is built on risk, posted lines, public information, and the idea that the bettor and the sportsbook are working from fair access to the game. Corrupted betting uses inside information or altered performance to attack the market before it can defend itself. In the NBA lane, prosecutors alleged that private locker room and medical information became a weapon. In the poker lane, prosecutors alleged that the table itself was turned against the victim through hidden technology and organized cheating teams. These were not the same operation in every detail, but they belonged to the same modern gambling world where status, access, and trust could be converted into money. The NBA betting side centered on information before it became public. In modern sports betting, a star sitting out, a player leaving early, or a rotation change can move a line fast. The most valuable moment is not after the information becomes public. The valuable moment is before the sportsbook adjusts. A player prop bet, especially an under on points, rebounds, assists, or total production, can become extremely profitable if a bettor already knows the player will not play normal minutes. That is why injury reports, minute limits, rest plans, and medical status carry financial value. They are not just team information. In a legal betting economy, they are market-moving intelligence. The Terry Rozier allegation became one of the most important teaching examples in the case. Prosecutors alleged that on March 23, 2023, Rozier was playing for the Charlotte Hornets and gave a longtime friend advance notice that he planned to leave a game early, using a lower leg injury as the explanation. Bettors then placed large wagers on his underperformance before the game unfolded. Rozier exited after roughly 9 minutes. The betting angle was not that someone guessed correctly. The allegation was that the result was known in advance by people who were allowed to bet before the market could respond. Later reporting in 2026 added that prosecutors accused Rozier of taking a bribe tied to the early exit, while Rozier has denied the charges and challenged the government's theory. Damon Jones occupies a different place in the story, and his role is central for teaching the full structure. Jones had NBA status as a former player and later as a coach. Prosecutors said he used private basketball access to distribute confidential information through a betting network. They also said he was involved in the rigged poker side, where celebrity status helped bring victims to games. In April 2026, Jones pleaded guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud conspiracy in 2 separate cases. That plea gave the public a clearer view of the bridge between the two worlds. One lane used NBA access to attack sportsbooks, while the other used NBA fame to bring wealthy victims into illegal poker rooms. The sports betting lane also reached beyond one game. Prosecutors described a broader period from late 2022 into March 2024, with alleged misuse of non-public information about upcoming NBA games. The case included alleged tips about lineup decisions, pre-release medical information, and planned early exits. It also touched the earlier Jonte Porter matter, where Porter had already pleaded guilty in a related betting scheme after leaving games early so others could profit from underperformance wagers. This is important for the audience to understand. The issue was not one strange box score. It was a system of people trying to convert inside knowledge into betting profits before the public, sportsbooks, and league officials could react. The poker side had a different structure, but the same central idea. The victim believed the contest was fair. Prosecutors alleged that beginning as early as 2019, underground Texas Hold'em games were secretly rigged across New York and other locations. These games were not ordinary private card games where experienced gamblers took their chances. They were allegedly controlled environments. The victims sat down believing they were playing poker against other players. According to prosecutors, they were actually facing organizers, cheating teams, hidden technology, off-site operators, and organized crime protection. The table looked like a game. The structure behind the table functioned like a fraud operation. The term face card is one of the most useful ways to teach the poker scheme. A face card was a recognizable athlete or former professional figure brought into the room to make the game feel attractive, exclusive, and credible. A wealthy player might not attend an underground game with unknown hustlers, but he might attend if he believed he could play beside a famous NBA figure. That celebrity presence created comfort. It lowered suspicion. It made the room feel like a special invitation instead of a trap. Prosecutors alleged that former professional athletes were used in that way, with Billups and Jones named in the poker case. Billups has pleaded not guilty and denied the allegations through counsel. The cheating technology gave the alleged poker empire its modern character. Prosecutors described altered shuffling machines that could read every card in the deck and determine which player would receive the winning hand. That information could then be transmitted away from the table, sent back to a player inside the game, and signaled through pre-arranged movements. The alleged table team included a quarterback, or driver, whose job was to receive the information and communicate it to other conspirators without alerting the victim. To the victim, it looked like cards, chips, conversation, and normal poker decisions. To the cheating team, it was controlled information moving through a hidden command system. The operation allegedly used more than one kind of cheating device. Prosecutors described chip tray analyzers with hidden cameras, X-ray tables able to read face-down cards, and special lenses or glasses used with marked cards. This is where the story moves beyond the old image of a crooked dealer or a marked deck kept in a drawer. The modern rigged game could combine wireless transmission, electronic reading, body signals, and off-site coordination. The poker room became a controlled environment. The real contest was not between players. The real contest was between the victim's trust and the cheating team's information advantage. The mafia role was not just a decorative detail. Prosecutors alleged that members and associates of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese families backed games, received a share of proceeds, and used the old tools of organized crime when money was owed. This is where the modern and traditional worlds met. The technology could read cards, but organized crime could provide reputation, territory, enforcement, access, and collection pressure. A rigged shuffler could help win the money. A mafia-backed structure could help collect it. That combination made the alleged operation more dangerous than a private gambling hustle. The New York games described by prosecutors included a Lexington Avenue game tied to Bonanno interests and a Washington Place game tied to Gambino interests, with Genovese involvement also alleged. For a period in 2023, prosecutors said the two games merged, and all three families received proceeds from the rigged and illegal poker activity. This part teaches an important point about modern organized crime. Families can compete, but they can also cooperate when a revenue stream is large enough. Gambling has always been one of the classic mafia industries, and the legal spread of sports betting did not remove illegal gambling from the underworld. It gave illegal operators new markets, new language, and new targets. The alleged poker empire also shows how organized crime adapts to class and setting. This was not a backroom game for small local bettors, losing a few $100s. Prosecutors described victims losing tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time. The locations included high-status markets and private settings where money, ego, access, and celebrity could mix. A wealthy player entering that room might think he was gaining entry into an elite circle. In the government's version of the case, that belief was the opening weakness. The guest was not entering a fair high-stakes game. He was entering a room where several people around him already knew how the cards were going to fall. Debt collection gave the case its older mafia edge. Prosecutors alleged that when people did not pay, members of the conspiracy used threats, intimidation, assault, robbery, and extortion. The case included allegations of debt-related violence and even a gunpoint robbery involving a rigged shuffler machine. That detail is important. The technology may look new, but the enforcement logic is old. A cheating device can create the debt. Organized crime pressure can turn that debt into payment. The operation, therefore, contained two layers: the fraud that produced the losses, and the intimidation structure that protected the money after the losses were created. Money movement formed another part of the system. Prosecutors alleged that victims were sometimes directed to send bank wires to shell companies, after which money could be moved back to game organizers in cash or cryptocurrency, minus laundering fees. This is the modern financial skin of an old gambling racket. The cash does not always pass across a card table anymore. It can move through accounts, business fronts, digital assets, intermediaries, and fee takers. The purpose remains recognizable: separate the money from the visible fraud, disguise who received it, and keep the engine running. Chauncey Billup's public profile made the poker case explode in attention. He was not just a former player, he was an NBA champion, Finals MVP, Hall of Fame figure, and head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers. Prosecutors alleged he served as one of the celebrity draws in the rigged game structure and received a share of proceeds. Billups pleaded not guilty. For the audience, the teaching point is not to declare guilt before trial. The teaching point is to understand why his name changed the scale of public reaction. When a Hall of Fame NBA figure appears in a mafia-linked gambling indictment, the story leaves the crime pages and enters the center of sports integrity. Rozier's Lane created a different kind of damage. A rigged poker game harms victims sitting at the table. A corrupted sports betting scheme threatens the trust surrounding the contest itself. Fans do not just watch a game for entertainment. Bettors, sportsbooks, teams, leagues, broadcasters, and sponsors now operate around the assumption that the game is being played honestly. If a player can secretly alter availability or performance for a betting edge, every unusual injury exit becomes suspicious. Every late scratch becomes a betting question. Every strange prop result becomes part of the public imagination. That is why the league integrity issue is so large. The NBA's modern dilemma is tied to the explosion of legal sports betting. Leagues once kept gambling at a public distance. Now betting lines appear inside broadcasts, phone apps, sponsorship campaigns, studio shows, and fan conversations. This creates revenue, engagement, and constant attention. It also creates pressure on every piece of private information inside a team building. A trainer's update, a coach's private plan, a player's pain level, or a locker room comment can become financially valuable. The old illegal bookmaker wanted action. The modern betting ecosystem creates markets around every rebound, assist, point total, rotation choice, and injury report. The alleged conspirators understood the value of timing. Once a lineup change becomes public, the advantage shrinks. Once the sportsbook adjusts a line, the easy profit disappears. The dangerous window is the private period before the adjustment. That is why inside information is so valuable and why straw bettors can matter. If the same people connected to the source keep betting directly, the pattern can expose them quickly. A network spreads the action through different accounts, locations, and names. The aim is to hide the source of the information while extracting money from the market. The poker empire used a similar timing principle, but inside the game itself. The cheating team did not need to control every card by magic. It needed to know enough before the victim made decisions. Poker is built around incomplete information. A player bets, folds, calls, or raises without knowing exactly what others hold. If one side secretly knows the best hand, the whole game is broken. The victim may still feel responsible for losing. He may think he misread the table, chased the wrong hand, or ran into bad luck. That uncertainty is useful to the fraud. It delays suspicion and keeps the victim at the table longer. This case also shows why gambling remains one of the mafia's most durable businesses. Narcotics brings heavy law enforcement pressure and long sentences. Labor racketeering requires control of unions, industries, and institutions. Gambling survives across eras because demand never disappears. People want games, risk, credit, quick money, status rooms, private action, and the feeling of access. Organized crime can provide illegal games, collect debts, arrange credit, protect operators, intimidate non-payers, and take a percentage without always appearing as the visible host. In this case, prosecutors described an alleged revenue pipeline where illegal poker money helped enrich organized crime families. The old mafia bookmaker and the modern betting app now exist in the same gambling universe. One is illegal and one is regulated, but both depend on lines, information, and money flow. Illegal operators can exploit legal markets by feeding inside information into them. They can also use the cultural normalization of betting to make gambling conversations feel ordinary. When every fan talks about spreads and props, the line between casual betting talk and profitable inside information can become easier for corrupt actors to cross. That is why the modern mafia does not need to invent gambling culture. It can attach itself to gambling culture already surrounding professional sports. The law enforcement response also followed modern organized crime logic. Investigators were not only looking at one bad bet or one strange poker night. They followed money, communications, game organizers, alleged technology suppliers, debt collectors, athletes, coaches, bettors, and mafia-linked participants. The poker case named more than 30 defendants. The sports betting case named 6 defendants at first, and later continued moving through guilty pleas and new charges. Damon Jones' guilty plea became a major confirmation point for prosecutors, while Rosier and Billups remain in contested legal positions.